Insanity in college football. James Franklin fired by Penn State. What a fall from grace for Penn State this season. You come into the year with national championship expectations. You come into it with, man, maybe we have the number one overall pick at quarterback. You come into it as one of the big boys, one of the favorites, odds on, right? And then all of a sudden, you lose to Oregon, whatever, no big deal, good team. You lose to Northwestern, okay, hold on a second. Drew Aller's out for the year, okay, not good. And James Franklin, gone. See ya. Wow. Big time shakeup in college football, big time shakeup at Penn State. We're going to get into that in this video. Kirk Herbstreit is the backdrop.
Penn State makes a move yesterday and lets James Franklin go. Where were you? Were you surprised? Were you, well, it happened. Or were you, holy cow? I mean, this team was in the semifinal. They're a series away from going to the national title a year ago.
Yeah, amazing where we are. I was sitting on my couch.
Number one, or what were they, 2, I think?
Yeah. You remember you remember my buddy Snoop? Well, now his son Nate was over here yesterday.
Okay.
You know, these kids got phones now. And I'm sitting on my couch, and he's like, he's telling my kids, hey, James Franklin got fired. That's how I found out. He got a notification on his phone. Turns says, hey, James Franklin just got fired. Unfortunately, it's not a surprise.
See, I'm kind of surprised. I was surprised. I was surprised because I'm not surprised that they decided, hey, look, the season's cooked, the season's over, let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. But I'm more surprised at just like what this means moving forward. This is a huge decision, a decision in the $100 million kind of world, a decision where now you leave that locker room completely rudderless. All those players now, I would assume, are going to start the transferring out of Penn State. And I would assume are going to get the hell out of there, who were all recruited by James Franklin. This now starts the domino effect for other coaches. We just saw it happen with Skrmetta, where Indiana said, yeah, brother, but let's just go ahead and get this done. And all of a sudden, Skrmetta signs a $100 million deal of his own for whatever it is, $12 million a year. So starting the domino effect and going into these waters where you don't know what's out there. You know, like you make this kind of decision, if you make $100 million bet and the numbers are like the buyout is whatever, I guess $49 million. No, I think that's what it is. It's like $50 million. Let's say $50 million. Well, then you got to factor in the staff. You got to factor in hiring the new coach. You got to factor in hiring the new staff. All together, it's going to be a $100 million decision. Now, the James Franklin money-wise, like I've heard different, fine print. I've heard where it's $8 million a year spread out. But if he takes a job, they only have to pay the difference. But what if he pulls a Bill O'Brien and, whatever his next job pays him $1 and then Penn State gets the full $8 million? I don't know. And we're not going to get too caught up in the financials because in today's college football, it doesn't matter. There's private money that's being pumped into these programs. There's huge donor money. In North Carolina, apparently, allegedly, there's Saudi money. I mean, who the hell even knows, right? So I'm not concerned about the financials. Penn State will figure it out, which is kind of sad in the landscape of college football. But the financials are whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the same as the NFL. Like, giving a coach $100 million and then firing him next year. Where's the money come from? Where does it go? Monopoly money. Who cares? But still, that's a big wager to make that you're basically wagering that you are going to find an upgrade. And it reminds me a lot of Auburn and Florida. When Florida said, you know what, we need to take a step. Dan Mullen is getting us the same thing over and over again. We got to take a step. We need the next guy. Gus Malzahn's getting us the same thing over and over again in Auburn. We need to take a step. And then all of a sudden, you got Billy Napier, you had Brian Harsin at Auburn, and you don't take that step. Who is the guy that's going to take Penn State further than James Franklin? The leader in the clubhouse right now is Matt Rhule. Isn't Matt Rhule just a worse James Franklin? Just a guy who is like, yeah, he can build a decent program, but he doesn't really win big games. He doesn't. Like, how many big wins does Matt Rhule have? Are you going to pay up $50 million to just get another James Franklin?
Unfortunately, it is. In the world we live in now, a guy could be in the playoff year before, almost makes it to the national championship, plays for a Big Ten championship, all these things, and get fired the next season. We don't have any patience for any nonsense, partly because social media has no patience for any nonsense. Like us just joking about the dog situation after the show, it's going to be like, people are going to light that thing up. I hate dogs, And so now you lose a couple, dude, they're coming to get you, and you get run out. Unfortunately, it's not a surprise. Did it surprise you?
I think the initial reaction of, oh my gosh, they had to let him go. Definitely there's a, wow, this guy was in the semifinals.
Yeah, there's a wow.
But when I saw how his home fans booed him off the field, when I saw that video surface off of the UCLA game, I just wondered, you said, do you have any Penn State relatives or friends or really diehard Penn State fans?
I know some Penn State fans. It's crazy. I was just talking to Amanda Gifford when I was in studio, because she's a Penn Stater, and I was asking her thoughts on was she on board with firing James Franklin? And she's like, no, I am not on board with that. So
I will say, like, he's talking about patience. Like, James Franklin has had a long time at Penn State. It's not like this is a 1 year, 2 year situation, right? So I do think in a way it had run its course, but I also think Penn State might think they are a program that they're not. Like, the idea that they can just get whoever they want and they're just top of the food chain and they're just one of the elite programs and they're this and they deserve this. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. I mean, I've heard people say, well, they'll just get Marcus Freeman. One, it's like, is Marcus Freeman that much better for Coach James Franklin? But two, isn't that a downgrade? Like, why would Freeman do that? Well, they'll just get Ryan Day. Why would Ryan Day do that? We'll just get DeBoer. Why would he leave Alabama? Like, every single name I've heard, it's like, well, that seems like a downgrade to me. I mean, the names I've heard are crazy. It runs the gamut of Matt Rhule, Joe Brady, Ed Orgeron, Urban Meyer, and Nick Saban, John Gruden, Eli Drinkowitz. Like, it's like, what's going on here? I mean, I guess in a way, every single coach that's available or could be available is a name and is a possibility. But I don't know how many of them are getting Penn State to where Penn State wants to be now.
She's the one person I did have a chance to ask.
I just think in this day and age, we go one extreme or the other. Like, Arch Manning goes from not him saying this, but the outside world saying he's better than Peyton, he's going to be better than Eli, to this guy is the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Terrible.
People reacting like that.
Yes.
And it's like, teams do that too. They go from, they have a big win, this is the best team ever, to then the next week they have a bad loss, this is the worst coach, worst quarterback ever.
Philadelphia Eagles. All last season,
worst ever.
Now, yes.
I mean, it happens with like movies and TV shows too. Like, I've talked about this for a long time, but when a movie comes out, there are two kinds of reviews. One, it's the greatest movie of all time, best picture, got to see it, I saw it twice, whatever. Or, how did this piece of trash get made? And a lot of the movies you'll see, and you'll say, I mean, that was a movie. It was all right. It was okay. How the hell did it get the hype that it got? And that's how sports are too, where a player or a coach or a team or whatever will be hyped up to a different dimension, and then you see him play or watch him for a few weeks. You're like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, they're kind of okay. We've seen it already this season in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers, after the first couple of weeks, no doubt about it, Super Bowl. The Packers, after the first couple of weeks, no doubt about it, Super Bowl.
Never there's an ebb and flow to a season for individuals. There's an ebb and flow to a season for a team.
Yeah.
You know, what if Penn State with James Franklin, they had a big win and they kind of righted the ship, and in a way they go off, and let's say they finished 9-3 or 10-2. Is that the worst? Is that like going 0-12? I mean, I understand what
in college football, kinda, because of how much it costs to field these teams now. Like last year with Ryan Day, you know, the whole thing was this is a $20-30 million roster. This team cost $20-30 million, and you know, one of the people I sit next to at the Saints games, he's an Ohio State guy, and he was saying like, yeah, I mean, we are going to fire Ryan Day this year. Like, this is it. And then they go and win the Natty, right? But leading up until that run, it was I fully believe if Ryan Day does not win the national championship last year, he would have got fired. Because you get handed these 20, 30, whatever $1 million teams. If you don't do anything with them, see you later. It's not the same old like recruit this, recruit that, you know, kind of this long progression. It's hey, here's the keys to the car. Here's the Lamborghini. And if you can't win the race, then
Penn State had to do from an administrative standpoint. I guess I understand how they felt that you know, it's almost like our fans are storming the gates and they're about to take down the gates. That's I guess that's how it feels at this current moment. But for you to be willing to let a coach go that's done so much good off of a couple weeks, it just makes me wonder in this new era of NIL and transfer portal and expectations. And I don't know, is this our new norm? Is this where we're headed?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was just discussing. How did we get here? How did we get to 5-6 games into a season? It used to be you knew who was going to get fired at the end of seasons.
Yeah.
Is it the portal and when it opens and closes? Is that why we're doing this thing now where there's 5 coaches that have been fired within the first 6 games of the season? Is that what we're trying to get ahead of?
I mean, I think it's the same thing you see with the bowl games, where now you see entire teams hold out of bowl games because whatever, it's a bowl game, I'm not going to play in it. And then all of a sudden, they can't even field a roster. And we've seen some huge programs do that in the last couple of years, where they send who knows to the bowl game. And I think it's the same thing here, where, okay, Penn State's looking at a sunken season, 3 losses already. Drew Aller's out for the year. So they're looking at it like, we don't care if we win 9 games. We don't care if we go to a bowl. We don't care if we, go play in the Gasparilla Bowl. So if you're going to rip the Band-Aid off, rip it off now.
Is the portal or the NIL rotation?
Maybe, or maybe just getting in the front line of trying to get that next coach. I think anytime you let a coach go, there has to be more than just what's happened in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, this was building, yeah, and that's why the whole thing of like, well, I mean, it's such a quick decision. It's like it's not. This had been building for sure,
right? I mean, like Mike Gundy, maybe there was for Oklahoma State, maybe there was more going on than starting off, very, very poorly. Maybe it was just he didn't agree with the new world of NIL and the portal, and maybe he didn't adjust. I have no idea what.
And then you got more chefs in the kitchen now.
I was just about to say that. Now, I'm not saying this happened with Penn State or Oklahoma State or whatever, but now all of a sudden you got more voices. Because if a guy is given the program $10 million a year or whatever, a booster, they're going to have a voice. If a institution is giving however many millions of dollars, they're going to have a voice now. It's not just, the AD. It's not just the AD talking to the, whoever, the, other people at the school. Now it's like everyone else is involved.
Because if I'm writing you $1 million checks to go get Arch Manning,
yeah,
or go get Drew Aller and these guys. I want to have a say.
Hell yeah.
So now you have more chefs in the kitchen. Who knows where this thing is headed?
Yeah. I wonder, like I said, I just wonder if this is going to become, I think it's a case by case thing. I don't think we can just say, just throw it all over. This is how college football is now.
If we weren't on 5 guys, I would say that, but you know what I mean? Like
it's the NFL. Like, it's the same thing in the NFL. The NFL, you get like a couple years as a head coach. You get a couple years, and if you're struggling or if you're losing and it's embarrassing and whatever, you're gone. You're gone. We'll just on to the next one. On to the next one. And college football is being run, or approached at least, like the NFL. Now the NIL is the thing.
Numbers are climbing. It ain't like it's just like we're on like 5-6 people have been let go already, and it's like, is this where we're headed? I hope not.
What do you think of Tiffany's question? With as much money as they get, if they're fired, what do you get? 55 million, I think,
something like that.
How are coaches incentivized to win?
I mean, the incentivized to win thing, coaches, players, whatever, they always want to win. They always want to do whatever, but they got to do something with these buyouts. The buyouts are crazy. I mean, $40, $50 million buyouts for coaches to get fired. I saw something the other day. It was like, it's like $300 million worth of buyouts have already happened this year, and that's enough money to fund however many scholarships. Like, the money, the buyout thing is getting crazy. So they got to reel that in.
I think when you pull away all the money and all the what gets a lot of the headlines, and you pull open their chest.
Yes.
I still think, maybe I'm naive, I still think coaches are wired to win and compete.
I think any coach and player, at the end of the day, I mean, just like a player, like if they get a $200 million contract, why are they incentivized to work out? Why are they incentivized to put in the hours? Why are they incentivized to give a shit? And I think they just do. You do. Like, regardless of the money. Now, obviously, it makes it a little easier when you get fired or whatever. But, yeah, I don't think... I mean, some players and some coaches, yeah, the money does change them, for sure. I mean, we see that all the time with young players in every sport, where they sign a big contract, and then that's just kind of it. They just kind of... Or we see some players, in baseball specifically, where they are insane in contract years. But the rest of the time, not really.
And all that money, whatever else is great. But you can't tell me that he wasn't motivated to try to build this program and win games.
Yeah, I don't think that was the
that's
issue.
That's a given.
I think we at times lose track of the amount of time and effort and energy and life that these coaches put into it. Life, not just, hey, let me draw up some plays. I'm talking
every breath.
You miss your own kids.
Oh yeah, I mean, these are like 16-hour days.
Listen, these coaches' wives, they need to be paid off, because they are amazing with what they have to do to deal with this. I think people lose track of it because we just see them on game day. We see these guys on Saturdays and Sundays, and we think that's what it is.
Yeah.
That is just that's not even a small percentage of what actually goes into it to get to the Saturday. And so I like the money is one thing, but the amount of effort that goes into trying to win football games and raise men, especially in college, when you're babysitting 115 now, 110, whatever it is. I don't think people understand that part of it. Well, they want to win.
Joey, and I'll say, in my opinion, James Franklin, I don't know when he's going to coach again. He's going to have a million opportunities. There'll be a lot of people that want him to be a coach. He will land on his feet. I don't know if he's going to take a year or two off. I don't even think he probably knows at this stage of the game.
No, that part I would take a year or two off.
He's got more money than he knows.
If you wrote me a check for $50 million, Herbie, I'm going to go try to find a couple really good golf courses for a year.
Yeah.
And then probably get back in, because that's the way these coaches are wired.
Yeah.
It's just
I mean, and he could do TV.
I would go golf.
I know you would. He'd be a natural to do TV. if he decides to go that route. But anyway, he'll have plenty of opportunities if he decides to ever get back in. I'm sorry, personally. I loved him at Penn State. I thought it was a good fit. I thought it always.
I don't care about all this stuff. Like I think this stuff, the woe is me, the sad, the human side of like the firings or whatever. I mean, people get fired all the time, right? I mean, I was fired. I was fired during COVID. I was a COVID layoff, and I worked at a place for 6 or 7 years. It was like going on 7 years, and I got fired in a 10-minute Zoom call. Person didn't even have their camera on. So, and I didn't have a $50 million buyout, I'll tell you that much. So all of this, like, woe is me, cry for James Franklin, whatever, like, I don't really care about that. The whole, it's a business. College football is a business. The NFL is a business. And, you get these big dog boosters in there, and they want wins, and they believe they deserve a national championship. The thing with Penn State, like I said, I don't know if they can do what they think they can do. This whole, like, get James Franklin out of here, we're going to absolutely upgrade. Well, who's it going to be? You got like 3 routes you can go. The first route is you take a stab at Urban Meyer or Nick Saban or John Gruden or these like big, huge names, these big, huge brands, personalities, whatever, who just have not been coaching. And you take a risk with that. You take a risk and say, well, let's see what happens. If we give this enormous name, a $30 million roster, let's see what they can do. Let's see if they can change this program and turn this program into a marketable powerhouse. The other option is you get an established coach. But the question there is like, well, who is it? Because like we talked about earlier, Marcus Freeman, why would he leave Notre Dame? Ryan Day, why would he leave? Even Curt Cignetti, why would he have left? Kalen DeBoer, why would he leave? Kirby Smart, why would he leave? Dan Lanning, why would he leave? Like all these places, why would they leave those places? Okay. The next one is, and in that same conversation, I guess you could throw in like Drinkowitz, and you could throw in Elko, and you could throw in some other coaches, but are you making $100 million wager that Mike Elko is that much better than James Franklin? Are you making that wager that Matt Rhule is that much better than James Franklin? The next one is you go and try and find the next Curt Cignetti, and you go and try and get the next up-and-coming coach, and you go take a look at programs that are under the radar and who you might find the next guy. But that's even riskier because it's easier to do that at Indiana. It's easier to do that where you're getting Cignetti from JMU, he's going to Indiana. He's making whatever it was at the time, not that much money in the grand scheme of things. And it's Indiana. It's like, I mean, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We're happy with 6 wins. We're happy with the bowl game. And then all hell breaks loose. Next thing you know, you got possibly the best coach in college football. For Penn State to go and get the next guy, that is how you get Billy Napier. That is how you go from Dan Mullen to Billy Napier. Billy Napier was the next guy. He was the next up-and-coming, the young, whatever. He gets to Florida. It's been a complete shit show. So the young coach route is by far the riskiest. By far. Because all of a sudden then, you could pay $100 million total and end up with nothing. At least with the other 2 options, you know kind of what you're getting. And you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle. Right? Lincoln Riley, he ain't leaving. Why the hell would he leave? Right? So, risky business. Risky business. I don't know. I think it had to happen, I guess. I mean, if Penn State wants to reach these pseudo delusions of grandeur, that they want to be Ohio State, that they deserve to be Ohio State, but I don't know. I don't know who they get and how they do it. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, this will be an enormous story just because of what has been pushed into the middle of the table. Just because they have said, we are willing to bet this amount of money that we can get a coach who is better than James Franklin and who can deliver more for this program than James Franklin did, who, like Kirk said, was a drive away from the national championship. So who is it? All right, ladies and gentlemen, interesting stuff. I'll see you in the next video.